You've probably heard of the Bermuda Triangle, a truly infamous area where countless vessels are said to have disappeared without a trace. What you likely didn't know is that there are actually 12 such regions, which are evenly spaced at 12 symmetrically fixed locations on Earth. These are known as the 12 Vile Vortices, or the Devil's Graveyards. The Vile Vortices are bizarre areas which are said to have naturally occurring anomalies or disturbances. Allegedly, this is primarily due to the areas having much stronger electromagnetic fields than any other region in the world. In an even more bizarre scenario, they're even said to be spread symmetrically and equally in 12 parts across the globe. Since each of these vortices is spread equally across the surface of the Earth, these vile vortices form a geometric figure, which is known as an icosahedron. These areas have a dark history, as many are said to have perished or disappeared within their sphere of influence. The normal scenario in these instances is for ships or airplanes to vanish under mysterious circumstances. There have been countless publications or communications claiming to be from the unlucky vessels, reporting unusual readings or strange behaviour. The most famous of these strange regions is the Bermuda Triangle. Since records began, more than 50 ships and 20 airplanes are said to have mysteriously disappeared, while the exact measurements of the region are still debated to this day. The Bermuda Triangle is said to have points touching the extremities of Florida, Puerto Rico and Bermuda. Reports of unexplained occurrences in the region date back to the mid-19th century. Some ships were discovered completely abandoned for no apparent reason. Others transmitted no distress signals and were never seen or heard from again. Aircraft have been reported and then vanished, and rescue missions are said to have vanished when flying in the area. However, wreckages have not been found, leading many to dispute the existence of this anomaly. In 1972, Ivan T. Sanderson, a Scottish biologist who founded the Society for the Investigation of the Unexplained, published an article entitled "The 12 Devil's Graveyards Around the World" in an issue of Saga magazine. In this article, he explains how he came to discover 12 equally spaced areas on the surface of Earth where funny things happen. According to Sanderson, the mysterious disappearances in the area were mostly overlooked until December 5th, 1945, when 5 TBM Avenger torpedo bombers disappeared after taking off from the Fort Lauderdale Naval Air Station on a routine patrol. Sanderson claims the pilots were in radio contact with each other right up until the time of their disappearance, reporting that they had no idea where they were and that the ocean looked wrong. However, other reports of this incident omit any mention of the pilot's radio conversation, resolving the disappearance as a navigational error which caused the planes to run out of fuel. Sanderson states that a Martin Mariner was deployed to search for the planes and that it disappeared within 15 minutes. With the Bermuda Triangle being the most famous, there are said to be 11 other such mysterious areas. An area in North Africa is the first. This area is said to be located in the same location as 13 strange monuments in Algeria, perched upon a pair of hills near the city of Tayret, 250 kilometers southwest of the capital, Algiers. Next is the Indus Valley in Pakistan. This area is located across Pakistan to northeast Afghanistan and northwestern India. The location was home to an expansive Bronze Age civilization and was one of the largest civilizations of the ancient world. Another area is known as the Devil's Sea, also known as the Devil's Triangle. This is an area said to extend from the north of Tokyo due east, and then southwards to a location southwest of Guam. After the Bermuda Triangle, this is the second most famous of the Vile Vortices. The next region is centered around the Hamikulia volcano, northeast of Hawaii, halfway between the Mural fracture zone and the Molokai fracture zone. This sits in the Pacific Ocean, right along the Ring of Fire, coined due to the overabundance of volcanic and earthquake activity in the area. The sixth in the list is rather ominously known as the South Atlantic Anomaly. This is an area where Earth's inner Van Allen radiation belt comes closest to Earth's surface, dipping down to an altitude of 200 kilometers. This causes an increase in energetic particles in the region, and even exposes orbiting satellites and astronauts to much higher levels of radiation. Following that is a location known as Great Zimbabwe. This is a medieval city in the southeastern hills of Zimbabwe, near the town of Masvingo. The area was part of a wealthy African trading empire that controlled much of the East African coast from the 11th to the 15th centuries. Next is the Wharton Basin, a marine area of the northeast quarter of the Indian Ocean, southwest of Malaysia and Thailand. The area is of interest to seismologists due to the close proximity of the Indian and Australian tectonic plates, and has been the location of extremely strong earthquakes. In 2012, a highly powerful earthquake measuring 8.6 magnitude occurred. An area known as the Loyalty Islands is next on the list. The archipelago consists of 6 inhabited islands, as well as several smaller uninhabited islands and islets. Again, the area is subject to powerful earthquakes. The area is located east of Australia, nearby to the larger island of New Caledonia. 10th is the area containing more than 300 megalithic platforms at Easter Island. These are monolithic human figures carved by the Rapa Nui people in eastern Polynesia between the years 1250 and 1500. This is a special territory of Chile in the southeastern Pacific Ocean, at the southeasternmost point of the Polynesian Triangle in Oceania. Finally, the remaining 2 Vile Vortices on the list are said to be the North and South Poles at both extremes of the globe. While some suggest that these areas don't cause any significantly greater numbers of missing ships or aircraft than other regions, there are numerous theories as to why such unusual behaviour or activity is seen in these Vile Vortices. As always with these phenomena, some have offered paranormal explanations for the existence of these areas. It's claimed that some form of time or space warp exists in these areas, which removes the vessels from our plane of existence and into another. Others attribute the bizarre goings-on in these areas to UFOs. Even though more logical explanations are presented, these kinds of theories can never be avoided. As far as natural explanations go, these are more numerous. A common aspect in reports linking to these areas mention compass problems. This may lead to vessels getting lost when trying to navigate. Other explanations centre around things such as the Gulf Stream, causing ships to be carried away by an unusual current, or even simple human error. Perhaps the most likely explanation is violent weather causing the disappearances. Although not applicable to all of the Vile Vortices, strong hurricanes and storms pass through many of the infamous areas. These weather systems can have highly destructive effects upon any vessels unlucky enough to be caught up in them. There are even personal accounts demonstrating the impact that these systems can have. A powerful downdraft of cold air was suspected to be a cause in the sinking of Pride of Baltimore on May 14, 1986. The crew of the sunken vessel noted the wind suddenly shifted and increased velocity from 32 kilometers an hour to 97 to 145 kilometers an hour. A National Hurricane Center satellite specialist, James Lushine, stated, "During very unstable weather conditions, the downburst of cold air from aloft can hit the surface like a bomb, exploding outward like a giant squall line of wind and water." A similar event occurred to Concordia in 2010 off the coast of Brazil. The most recent scientific theory on the oceanic vortices suggests that the freakish disappearance of ships and aircraft could be the result of large deposits of methane gas spewing up from the ocean floor. Huge eruptions of methane bubbles may push water away from a ship, causing it to sink. If the highly flammable methane then rises into the air, it could ignite in an airplane's engine, causing it to explode and disappear. A recurring commonality between many of the Vile Vortices seems to centre around unusual electromagnetic readings and an increased incidence of earthquakes. Therefore, it could be possible that these are resulting in abnormal occurrences in the regions, which unsuspecting pilots or sailors aren't prepared for. Of course, that is if the reports of disappearances are to be believed. Many say that there is insufficient evidence for this, and that there's no reason for these areas to have the level of infamy that they've gained. Frustratingly, as is often the case with these mysteries, there is no definitive answer to be found. However, it is said that there is no smoke without fire. Is it simply a huge coincidence that there are so many reports of mysterious disappearances in these areas, in addition to observing such powerful natural phenomena such as volcanoes and earthquakes? With electromagnetic readings being less easy to dismiss, all we can hope is that future scientific research into these bizarre areas displaying unusual phenomena can shed some light onto a subject which, up until now, has remained shrouded in mystery.